Uh, yes, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me from. I am NCK 2310. Welcome. Yes, for those that are new here, what we do here, we do scrutinize and analyze songs. Yes, we do analyze gospel songs, we analyze political songs, we analyze Mugithi, which are party music as well. We do. I see Ken Masharia. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome as well, and all the other people, also those who are listening at the back. Welcome. Yes, we do all kind of songs, and also when we travel, we do also traveling nice songs as well. So we do scrutinize and analyze songs. That's what we do here. Yes, and today I've prepared a song, very beautiful song. But before we dive in there, I have to say, because I am from Kenya, for those who don't know, and we see what's going on around in our country. So we have to continue praying for our motherland, for Kenya, our country that we love so much. We know very well that at the moment, what's going on with our CJ, the Chief Justice of Kenya, Mother Koome, and the 6 judges, Supreme Court judges in Kenya, is that our president Ruto have decided he wants to do what he thinks Kenya is his property, and he wants to dissolve them or something like that, which is very sad, because it seems like someone has a plan to put Kenya in emergency just because of selfish gains or something like that. Anyway, what can we say? We as Kenyans, we have to continue to praying for our country, and we should not allow President Ruto or anybody else to cause so much chaos in our country, because our Kenyan people, they're already suffering so much. And we cannot allow, just because of selfish people, a few selfish people who want to destroy our motherland, a country that our forefathers fought so hard to get back from the British. We should not allow that. Anyway, for today, let us dive in with the song without wasting any time, and we see what the song has to offer. The song says, I have returned here where we met, where I used to cry due to all my problems. Because when I prayed to you, you answered me. And that's why I find it nice and fair to come and say thank you. This is someone who's been suffering a lot. We know that life is not that easy. Life can be very difficult. There are mountains, valleys, and everything. And this song is saying, I'm here to say thank you, Lord, that you heard my prayers. So this first verse is really comforting us, that don't stop praying. Working hard and praying, God will listen to you. God will answer your prayers. And where the song says, I have now not come with tears like before, but have come to give my special thanks. Yes, that you've come right now not to just to cry again, because the moment God uplifts you, you should also remember to come and say thank you that He's brought you so far. The song says, it's not the pain that has returned me here, but I've returned with a song praising you. So here we go. That is good also when God does something good to you, when God uplifts you, when doors are opened. Please, it's always very nice to remember to return and tell God thank you. It's good if you can sing a song and tell God thank you. Some people just wait until they are in problems. That's the only time they remember to come and pray and tell God, oh, please, I need help. You cannot be just turning to God only the moment you're in problem. You cannot be just only turning to God the time you need something. You should be also turning to God if your prayers are answered, if God uplifts you, if you make it somehow, if you were successful. For example, you are a farmer and you've been planting your crops and then you have a very good harvest. Do you take your time to go back and tell God, thank you? Thank you that you brought rain, that the crops grew nicely, or you brought whatever kind of weather that the crops I was able to harvest. Do you go back and tell God, thank you? Also at your work, when you work nicely, maybe you're promoted. Do you also go back and tell God, thank you, Lord. You've answered my prayers. You've really uplifted me. I have a new position. Also, for example, if you have a madhouse and you work hard, or maybe people, well, good wishers, come and help you and assist you and you get a better home, do you also turn back and tell God, God, thank you. You've given these people to come and assist me, or God have blessed you at your work, and that's why you're able to move from that house to the house you're living in. Or for example, maybe before you just used to walk barefoot, you used to walk, you didn't have even shoes, and nowadays you have a lot of pairs of shoes, you even don't know which ones to wear. Do you sometimes go back and tell God, God, thank you, Lord, that you changed my life? Maybe you grew up like me, that you just used to see new clothes one time a year during Christmas time. And some Christmases you're even lacking. And nowadays you have a wardrobe full of clothes. Do you sometimes take your time and tell God, thank you, I have so many clothes, God. You removed me from just having one clothes a year to having many thousands of clothes, shoes, call it, name it. Maybe you're there, you just used to walk. You never even had any bicycle or anything. And nowadays you have a car. Do you turn to tell God, God, thank you? Yeah, it's not because you're so strong or anything. It's just because the favors of God. This song is telling us it's very important to always return and tell God, thank you, Lord, that you've uplifted me. Thank you, Lord, that you've changed my life. Thank you, Lord, that I'm not where I used to be. It's a very beautiful song. The song says, I used to cry, asking myself, when will you ever come? When will you ever rescue me, Lord? So you can bring me back joy in my life. Because I used to be mocked, kunyororio, in Kikuyu as we call it. But oh Lord, you listened to me. There we are. The song is saying, the person used to cry so much, asking, when shall God come? You know, we always say that patience pays. Weterera, it's so important. It's good not to just, some people lose hope and faith so fast. You know, this song is telling us, have faith, be patient. God hears your prayers. Maybe he won't answer now, but he will answer one of these days. Maybe today, tomorrow, next year, few years to come, he will answer. But some people, they give up so fast that they think, oh God, I've been praying and God don't answer me. God don't hear my prayers. I'm now gonna look for other ways. And that's where people get lost. Because I hear some people, instead of they continue praying to God, that God can open doors for them, that things can go better for them, instead of trusting only in God, they start to trust in human beings. That's why, for example, in my country, in Kenya, where I am from, I hear that a lot of people, they put all their trust in priests and bishops and all these church people, for example. Others even choose more worse and go to wagangas, witch doctors, voodoo, or whatever it's called. And it's very wrong, because God hears prayers. The moment you give up, that's the moment you give chance for the devil. Satan comes in and shows you the wrong directions. Yeah, there are so many people. They do this business, it fails. They do this business, it fails. They do that, it fails. And if they are praying God, they stop. They start to go looking for other assistants. They start to go. They go to some places. If they go to like these fake preachers, they start to tell them crazy things, like start to spray water in your house, spray, I don't know, salt, spray, I don't know, oil, use this handkerchief, all the shenanigans. They start to worship those things instead of just believing in God. Here is a song. It's saying, hey, you should not do that. Don't give up. You know, you can be crying, yes, but God is hearing your cries. He will answer one day. Don't give up. Because the moment you leave the ways of God and you turn to other direction, God will think, okay, he or she don't want my help. He or she is not patient. He or she thinks can get better help from other places apart from my side. And then God also abandons you. Yes, that's what happens. And that's why you see some people, they go around, they just forget about God. They forget that it's only God that can uplift. It's only God that can change your life, your hard work, and you praying and trusting in God. It's the only way. all these other ways, or these, and it is wrong ways, because that's where a lot of people get lost. Yes. Anyway, the song says, what can I offer you, O Lord, to make you happy? And you can never be bribed through offerings. At the guide namagogona, cows, goats, money, all these material things. You're not interested with that. God is not interested with all those things. God is only interested with a pure, clean heart. That's what the song says. And here we go, that we have to always understand, why do people bribe? For example, I come from a country in Kenya where, me growing up, a lot of people used to believe in bribing. Nowadays, I thank God that we have all these internet things, that, for example, when it's corrupt police, we can be filmed. They can be exposed to the world when they accept bribes. When you go even to hospitals, can you imagine, you have a patient, and for your patient to be treated, that you have to bribe to a doctor? I thank God nowadays there are cameras everywhere who can expose all those bad doctors, corrupt doctors. Look at politicians. Instead of working for our people, instead of working for the Kenyans, that you have to bribe them for you to get a certain document, for you to get your passport, for you to get your ID, for you to get your home documents, land documents, that you have to bribe somebody. When will this thing ever end? When shall the people start to fear God? Because when you fear God, you don't agree in bribing. As I say, I usually invest in my country, in Kenya, and it doesn't matter if buy land or build house or whatever, or get this and that. I always make sure I follow the correct ways. Yes, it can take time. So what? Patience pays. You're going there and you're bribing there, bribing there, bribing. You are the ones, we Kenyans, we are the ones, for example, who spoil our country. And God don't like that. Why we cannot follow the ways of God, like the way we cannot bribe God? You cannot bribe God, not with cows or goats or money or lands or nothing. No material things can bribe God, because everything belongs to Him. And for us human beings, why we can't, because God says we should try to follow His ways, why we cannot say, wait a minute, bribing is wrong, bribing is not okay? That's the time we can build ourselves as Kenyans, for example. That's the time we can build our nation. The moment we say no to bribing, the moment we say, nowadays we have cameras everywhere. When you go in an office, if you're able to hide a camera, hide it. So that if someone is asking you for a bribe, expose that person. Because that person should be fired immediately from his or her job. Because that's not somebody who should be working for the people. That is somebody that even God has said no. With all this corruption, for example, in our country, in Kenya, it starts from the people up high. They are up. People who are supposed to set good examples. People who are supposed to say, wait a minute, we, the people of Kenya, let us be the kind of people who have discipline, who have good characters, who have good manners, who say no to bribing, for example, because bribing, that destroys a country. There is no country that can work properly where there are all these bribings, because bribing is a corruption. Bribing is corruption. Can you imagine if you just want to be bribed just to work for the people who've employed you to do that kind of work? Can you imagine the people who don't have the money to bribe you? Who will help those people? Who will be there for those people? And that's why I say we are all equal in the eyes of God. And God says that if you do the things He don't like, He can curse you too. And that's why you see some of the things that happens to some of these people. It's a curse from God, because they do everything wrong. They're selfish. They do everything wrong. What God have said. We know about the God's commandments, or what we are told not to do, not to do, not to do. And what do? We go opposite. We ignore what God has told us. Anyway, this song is saying that we cannot bribe God. The way we cannot bribe God, let us also stop this behavior of bribing each other, because then everybody has the responsibility to work properly. Sometimes when I look around, like what goes on in my country, I ask, we as Kenyans, how many of our Kenyan politicians Can we give a green light and say that one is correct? That one is not corrupt. That one don't accept bribes. That one work for the people. That one does what is right, what he or she is elected to do. How many of those? And this song is really encouraging because it says we cannot bribe God. The way we cannot bribe God, let's stop bribing each other as well. Because God don't like bribes. Either to God himself or to each other. We as human beings, we should not bribe each other. Because the moment you are bribing, what are you doing? You're causing chaos. Maybe you just want your things to go very fast. Anyway, the song says, I can be seen as boasting around because of the great things I have done. You have done for me, oh Lord. That's why I have returned to say thank you, because it's unforgettable. And here we comes that sometimes when God uplifts you and you sometimes want to encourage other people, sometimes you want to say, look what God has done for me. There are so many wicked people out there. The moment you're trying to say how God has uplifted you, as we call it, from grass to grace, there are so other wicked people who are saying, oh, that one is boasting. You know, there are all these kind of, but those are jealous people, and we should ignore those kind of jealous people. Because some of the jealous people, they want you down there. They don't want to see you uplifting. They don't. They want to make sure that if you are down, if you are here, you will go more down. You will not go up. So there are so many wicked people out there. We are surrounded with wicked people. And that's why we say, don't be afraid. If God has uplifted you, always remember that. Remember to say to God, thank you. But it's also good that you stand out there and say, yes, God has uplifted me. I didn't used to have this and that. Now I have, because God has done it for me. God has blessed my hard work. God has answered my prayers. God is there for me. This is a time that we can always say, you know what? With God, trusting in God, everything is possible. If God uplifts you, ignore the haters. The only thing you cannot do is like to think now, because you are there and you used to be there, then you start to treat the people who are down here wrongly, or you start to abuse them. You lack respect for them. That is wrong. But as long as you are still praising God, you are telling God thank you, and when you come in front of the people, you're telling God has uplifted me. I never used to have more than one dress as growing up, but now I have a wardrobe full of clothes. That is not that you're being proud. That is not that you're showing off. It's like you're saying, yes, God can change. If you never used to have any shoes, you used to walk barefoot. We've done that many years when we were young. And now you have a lot of pairs of shoes. You even don't know which ones to wear. If you stand up and you're saying how God has uplifted you, when you talk something like that, that is not that you're having a high nose. That is you're saying, yes, God changes things. God does great things. When you believe in him, when you trust in him, he answers prayers. So continue praying. Don't stop to pray, because God changes life, and he will change your life as he has changed for so many lives. He will do that. So never think that God has abandoned you, because the moment some people feel like that, when things are not going right, they think, oh my God, God has abandoned me. Unfortunately, that is the time the devil will jump into your life. That is the moment the devil will make you do things which you know they are wrong, but you're doing those things. That's why I always say, be very, very careful as well. The kind of friendship you get yourself into, the people who surrounds you. I always say, for example, if you're surrounded with people who are used to abusing others, people who always use bad, rude words, you will become like them. When we say about brainwashing, there are many kinds of brainwashing. So the best thing you can always do, if you notice, wait a minute, I'm surrounding myself with this kind of person. The person always use bad words, abusing people people, because there is nowhere where it's written that it's okay to abuse people. There is nowhere. Even if someone does wrong to you, don't abuse him or her back. Don't do it, because then there is no difference, between you and that person, even that person who has abused you. Always try to do the right things in life. That's what I think we are all taught by our parents or teachers when we go to school. That's what we learn, that it's good to have good morals, that it's good always to, surround yourself with the right people. You should, for example, when you're a grown up, if you surround yourself with people who always abuse others, people who always use abusive language, believe you me, one day you too, you're gonna be like them. You too, you're gonna use the same language, because you're hanging with those kind of people. It's the same like if you hang around with someone who is a thief, who always steal. That person will one day make you also become a thief. You will also start to steal one day. So it's very, very important. Like we always say, for grown-ups, tell the young kids, it's good you hang around with good kids. Don't hang around with kids who are misbehaving, it's same with grown-ups. Because we always say that there is no certain number that with this age you cannot learn. We learn new things every day. And I'm here also to tell you, if you hang around with rude people, you yourself you become rude, because you will think it's normal. Can you imagine, for example, me and say K2310, I come here on my life and I'm busy abusing that one, I don't know, calling that one which animal, that one I don't know what, that one I don't know what. You who is listening to me, if you listen to this often, you will become like me, because you think it's normal to call that person that name, bad name. You will think it's a normal thing. So it's very important to always consider yourself. Hey, wait a minute. What am I listening? Who am I following? Who am I hanging around with? Same thing like we are online is the same thing. If you go to some channels and you hear they're abusing people, you move out, because you think, oh my God, wait a minute. I don't want to hang around somewhere where people are being abused. Remember, leave around the abuser. The abuser is abusing people who are maybe parents, who are husbands, who are wives, children of somebody, brother, sister of somebody. And ask you yourself, how would you feel if it's you or your family member, maybe your daughter, your son, your dad, your mom, your grandmother, who is being called some of those names? Ask that yourself. And that's the time when you ask yourself such things, that's the time you'll find out, oh my God, I'm hanging around at the wrong place. Then you just want to close your ears. You don't want to hear those people anymore, because they are the wrong people to be listened to. With this, the song is trying to tell us, if God bring you up at a higher position, remember to go back to God to tell him thank you, because it's not because you are so powerful, that's why you've reached where you've reached. It takes the mercies of God. Anyway, the song says, God, receive my sacrifice, and I'll be so happy, because when I'm accepted by you, I'm then cleansed. I love this verse very much, that God accept my sacrifice. Now, when we come to this thing about sacrifice, we know very well, for Christians, we Christians, we know our Bible. We have the Old Testament and we have the New Testament. And in the Old Testament, our old forefathers, they used to do sacrifices to God. According to the Old Testament, we know it, that it's told how they used to slaughter goats and, pour blood and something like that. It was done that way in the Old Testament. And that's where people, I think, get mixed up. Because in the New Testament, after Jesus Christ, Jesus, the Son of God, came here on earth, and he died for all our sins. That's the time everything was changed. So nowadays, you don't need to go and do sacrifice and cutting goats and killing, I don't know, taking that blood where, pouring blood, I don't know where. No, because that was finished. The moment Jesus Christ died for us, he said it's finished. So if you're there and you're still going around saying, hey, I've done this and this mistake, now I have to go and slaughter a goat, a cow, I don't know what, to go and say sorry. It's crazy. It's total madness. I do remember one of the story that really shocked me. I have two older brothers, and one of my brothers, second born brother, he had some some troubles with my late dad. Before that time, my dad was then still living, and they had bad talk. And I always say, you as a child, if your parent say something bad to you, please never abuse your parent. Always walk away. If a parent call you a bad name, it hurts you. Don't call back. That's your parent. Parent is your second God, if you don't know, because that's what God told us. It's important to respect the parents because they are our second God after our God the Father. Our second God, it's the parents. So anyway, my second brother, he had some trouble with my dad this and many years ago. And so he had rude words with my dad or something like that. And my dad moved away from my village. He went to his other home, other places he had a home. And many years later, my second born brother took, I think, I didn't know about it. I just saw photos and videos. I was shocked. He took a lot of people from my village. They drove all the way where my dad had then moved to, places called Ngarua. It's many hours to drive from Lower Kabete to those areas. And they went there with, I don't know how many buses, and my brother with his car, with his wife and children. They all went. And they took goats or sheep or something like that. And they were there to slaughter. They cut. I was shocked because somebody who was in there was a paparazzi and make videos and photos and was sending to me and telling me, aren't you coming to this party? Remember, I'm in Sweden. I was like, what kind of party? Tell me, yeah, your brother came to apologize to your dad, and he has a goat with a lot of villagers. They are all here. They've slaughtered and cut, I don't know what animal, to pour blood, to say sorry, and bringing, I don't know, blankets, and I don't know things, and what things my dad had asked for. Total madness. I was shocked because I did not know that our people, I don't know if that's only in the Kikuyu tribe or the other tribes that do those shenanigans things. And when I asked my brother, why you do those things? Don't you know that when Jesus Christ came and he died for us, those things with slaughtering and pouring blood, it was over. It's not supposed to be done anymore. You know, if, for example, you're making a celebration and you slaughter animals to eat, I understand when there's a party. But now you're going to apologize and you have to cut an animal blood and stuff. This is total madness. Please, you Kenyans, if you're there and you're from Kenya and you're still doing these things, stop it. Because I really think it's crazy. This is where our people are getting lost. They don't understand even the difference between Old Testament and the New Testament. Because in the Old Testament, Jesus Christ was not yet there. So the only way they could go and apologize and do all these things to God was through sacrifices, pouring blood, for example. But after Jesus Christ came, all what you need is to pray, nothing else. You know, if you have done something wrong, for example, with my second born brother, he could have said, of course, pray to God and say, God, I'm very sorry that I was rude or abused my dad and something like that. You know, you pray, and then you yourself, you can say face to face to your dad or to your parent who you've abused, and you can say, I'm sorry, I did this and that. I apologize. Please forgive me. I ask you for your forgiveness. But you don't have to go slaughtering animals. That's sort of madness. You know, after this, that's when I realized, hey, wait a minute. Am I the one living in another world? Or is it me who don't understand the Bible? I want to know this. You know, those of you who follow me, I always say that I don't go to churches since over 31 years now. Since I left Kenya, I never go to any church because my church is in my heart. I pray and God listens to my prayers. But for you people that go to church, I would like to know, why do you still go sacrificing these animals? That is forgiveness, that is I don't know what, when you're going to your, why do you do this? Because Jesus Christ came and died for us, died for you and me. He died for everybody. That we should stop with those shenanigans of slaughtering animals instead of just slaughtering them to eat, to enjoy and stuff. That is for sacrifice. It's crazy. We're in 2025. I think it's high time people to wake up. Otherwise, we will we are confusing our generations now and the generations to come, because they will never understand why Jesus Christ came and died for us. He did all that so that all those things that were being done before should stop to be done. Of course, we still read the Old Testament, but that doesn't mean that we still have to continue slaughtering as a sacrifice. And we also know that those years, they used to, for example, those many years ago, when they used to give a certain percent, they used to call it sacrifice to God. That sacrifice those years, it was like this: when they had a good harvest, and maybe not everyone had good luck to harvest enough crops or enough vegetables or enough whatever you're doing. Not everybody had that luck. So what they used to do, that 10%, they used to gather. If it's like, for example, I have a lot of maize, sacks of maize or beans or potatoes. I could take some of them, bring somewhere, and someone else bring other stuff. And then all these were shared among those people who are not lucky to harvest, who are not lucky to have what the others got. That was what used to be done. But for nowadays, for you to work hard, for you to work up and down, and you are being told that whatever you are earning, that whatever you have, that you have to go to give 10%. Wait a minute. It's also confusing there. That's why we have to make it here clear, so that we stop to confuse the generations to come. Because when will our people ever build themselves up? When will our children ever build themselves up? When they are being told whatever they are earning, they have to go and give 10%. That is all fake. It's not real. It's not all right. Because they confuse what was being done in the Old Testament, and they forget when Jesus came, everything was solved. Right now, for example, instead of you being told, oh, you have to give all what you earn 10%, if you have something that is extra and you want to help. For example, in Kenya, we have a lot of street kids. Ask you yourself, are you able to assist our street kids? Are you able to assist some of our mothers who have they need assistance? They have no work, no jobs. Their husbands maybe died, or even the men who their wives died and they are not able to work. They are, the vulnerable people. That's where you should chip in and help. But nobody should tell you that you should take 10% of what you've been working hard and earning, and you go to give to a priest or a preacher, someone who is having a very nice car, someone who is having very nice home, and you're taking your 10% to them. You are sending your 10% to them. That is foolishness. And God don't like stupid people. At the guided more. Even God himself, he have said that. Don't allow yourself to be used anymore. That's why I say, if you're able to read the Bible yourself, please do it. I read the Bible myself. Over 31 years, 32 years, I've been reading the Bible myself. And the Bible is not confusing. You read it and then you pray that God can allow you to understand it properly, so that nobody will fool you. When I see sometimes the stories here online, how some people have been fooled and lied to by priests, by bishops, by preachers, by I don't know what. and they've given their money and they have been conned and conned and I'm shocked. I've never been conned, not even 1 krona by any 1 coin by these church people. Never. If I want to help, for example, I have helped my church in my village because we used to have a very small Mabati church in my village, and I also helped. I myself, nobody asked me, nobody ever called me and told me. I just got to hear that they were building a church, and I was like, wow, it's actually very close to my home. We are very next to the church, and we helped and we built a very beautiful, nice stony building. And that church, it's used for weddings, it's used for ceremonies, it's used for it can admit a lot of people, not only during the church services. If it's something, and actually the people who help there, nobody has ever been forced or something like that. Even our preachers there in my village in Luakabete, they never came online begging. Never. It was just like, if you want to assist, well and good. If you would like. Never anybody saying, hey, help us, hey. Some people, they beg money here since years and years and years. You ask yourself, why are you doing that? It's not right. It's not okay. It should be like the way the people used to give their offerings in the Old Testament. It should be. We people, like in my village, we know that, wow, hey, we people, that's our church in our small village. Let's build it up. And that's why we gathered. We built a very nice, big, building church, almost only from us people in my village. They were almost never outsiders. We built it ourselves. And that's where anybody in our village, when there is, for example, funerals, they are held there. When there are marriages, they are held there. When there are other kind of celebrations, they are held there. It's like a hall. It's just a structure. It's a building. As I always say, church is in your heart. That's just a building which we decided. Like, for example, nobody ever asked me to pay, do anything. And that's why I say it's very good. We start to teach people the right things. And I think it's high time for our Kenyan people. For example, I can talk of Kenyans because I am from Kenya and Kenya is my business. I think it's high time we start to tell our Kenyan people, please read the Bible yourselves. Because if you think and believe it's only a church priest or a bishop or pastor or whatever that can read the Bible for you to understand it, you're wrong. You're fooling yourself, because that pastor, that bishop will tell you whatever he or she wants. Why you can't, nowadays, you don't need even the Bible, the book. You can, if you have a telephone, you just have to Google the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, whichever book you want, and the verse and the chapter, they're all in there. And you can read it yourself. Because if you just wait, I'm going to go so that the Bible can be read by me, for me, and understand it and whatever, you'll be told all kind of things. And that's where the confusion comes in. If you learn to read the Bible yourself, nobody will lie to you, because you know what is written. You'll understand what kind of sacrifices were being done those years, and why it's not necessary today to do it anymore, to slaughter any animals. You will understand those years about the 10% that were used to be paid, why it was done. You'll understand that today, when you're asked to pay 10% of what you're earning, of what you owe, you will know that someone is fooling you. Someone is stealing from you. That's the time you realize, if you read the Bible yourself, because you'll understand it better. Because look, our grandparents were fooled. Our parents were fooled. My generations, who are from 50 up, were fooled. I don't want our kids and their grandchildren and the generations to come also to be fooled. I don't want that, because it's crazy. I see Ken Masharia is saying, yeah, welcome and give a like. Thank you, Ken. Kasogo is a number one corrupt leader. Yes, he is. 100%. Sorry to get a little bit out of the topic. He's now targeting Mother Koome, our CJ, and the 6 Supreme Court judges. They are They are their target right now. It's crazy. We Kenyans, we have to hold hands together because we cannot let one person destroy our country. We will not allow that. They preach how to give offering for you to receive blessings. I wonder, yes, Ken, you know, what's so heartbreaking is that this game has gone on for so long. They conned and conned and conned so many people, and they're still conning. And it's high time for Kenyans to wake up. We don't know which language to speak with. Tutio to kwa dia lugha eriko. Kana nige koyo, kana nige thogo, kana nige thweli, kana dimwalirie lugha ishijara ya Kijerumani na Swedish. I don't know which language we should speak to so that our Kenyan people can understand. But for me, I think our Gen Zs and millenniums, they all understand English. They all understand Kiswahili more or less. And that's why for me, when I do this in English, I have a purpose. Because I know the older people, most of them, English could be a challenge, even if it's a Kenyan national language as well. But our youth and Gen Zs, most of them, they learn these languages. And I don't want our Kenyan youth to continue being fooled like how my generation was fooled. The generation of my parents, my late parents were fooled. The generation of my grandparents were fooled because they used to be told same stories. Hey, for God to bless you, you need to pay this and that. Hey, for God to hear your prayers, you need to do, I don't know what sacrifice. Hey, for God to uplift you, you need to pay 10%. If you pay 10% of what you have, you'll have nothing. You'll go ground zero again. And remember, those people you are giving, they are being given by thousands and thousands or millions even. That's why in Kenya, if you want to be rich, you have to go two places. You have to be a politician or you have to be a church person. Those are the two places for conning. And that's why when whoever ever listened to me, I always talk about those two things. You know, with my songs, I thank God that my songs touches all this. The songs that I always scrutinize and analyze, they always touch these topics. Because even like with this song, when it's talking about sacrifice, of course, I chip in with what I know about sacrifice. When another song is talking about, I don't know what, we chip in with what I think is right. Maybe what I think is right is not what you think is right. It's up to you. But it's you to make your decision. It's you to make your mind which way to follow. If you still want to go and give on in the churches, continue. But don't come crying here online. Oh, I've been stolen. Hey, I've been fooled. Hey, we've been telling you and we'll continue to tell you. If you have ears here, listen. Be careful. Tell your kids that our parents were fooled. Our grandparents were fooled. My generation from 50 up were fooled. And we don't want you, our Kenyan youth, to continue to be fooled. Because those people that do that, you have to know that they are criminals hiding in the name of God. We we Kenyans, we saw how we were able to choose President Ruto because he came in holding the Bible. Hey, you know, they all do the same. The church people, the same way Ruto did, is the same way those church people do. They hold the Bible and pretend to be very holy just to snatch what you have, to snatch your hard-working money, to snatch your lands, to snatch your properties. They use the name of God. It's high time to wake up. You know, for me, you will never see me standing here and discussing about fellow Kenyans. Who is father of who is mother of who is sleeping with who is making kids with who is I don't know what. That's none of my business. Because if someone is over 18 years, that is a grown up. You are a grown up when you're over 18 years. If you go somewhere and you're fooled and you decide to stay, that's your problem. And if you're there, if you think fooling is right, you know in the eyes of God is not right, your punishment will come one day. But I will not take my time to come stand here and saying, hey, that one, hey, that one, hey, that one. No. Here it's all generalizing. Politicians, the corrupt Kenyan politicians, and the corrupt church people, church leaders, as we call them. For me, that's why I target, because I feel very sad. Like, for example, every time when I go back home in Kenya and I see the kind of lives our Kenyan people are living for many years, I'm like, oh my God, why? Why there is nobody who can change their lives? And they're hardworking. I used to ask myself, until I realized that most of them, they take most of the money they've been working like before a week. They take all that money to the church because they are being told, hey, 10%, so that God can hear you. Hey, 10%, so that God can bless you. Hey, 10%, so that your kids won't be bewitched. I don't know all these shenanigans. It's high time we continue telling our Kenyan people, you are being fooled. Everything is being stolen from you. You know, I think these things have gone way too long. And if we don't try to advise our youths about these things will never end. That's why some of us, you'll be born in a poor family, you grow up in a poor family, you will remain poor, and you will die poor. Even if you've been working so hard in your life. Because somebody has been fooling you. And those other people who also turn to witchcraft, or what it's called, that you are told, hey, for you to advance, you have to go to a witch doctor. You have to go visit a witch. I don't know, they will do this and this for you. They will enhance for you. They are also on business. Don't listen, please. Because the more you listen, the more you'll go in the wrong direction. The more the lies will sink in you. And you start to believe in such things like witch doctors and witchcraft, which is total madness. That's also a business. I think it's high time for all people, not only Kenyans, even in other countries, and especially this thing with 10%. I think it's more in Africa. I think not only Kenya. I don't know how it is with our neighbors, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, all those Somalis, all those countries. I don't know how it works. But for Kenyans, it's high time to wake up. Don't listen to these shenanigans. Because you'll be working and you have nothing at the end. You'll be working and your kids, you can't even buy food for your kids because you're taking all your money to churches. Why? As I say, church is in your heart. God hears prayers wherever you are. I pray since so many years here at home. God hears my prayers over 31 years. You don't have to go to that building. You know, like for me, when I say about the church which we built in my village, we go there when there's a big gathering, for example, also during weddings or during even funerals or during, this big, or sometimes there are people doing dramas, like entertainment. We also meet there because it's just a building, a big structure. You can meet at different kind of times in there. There are sometimes people, they show dramas. I don't know what you call it. Yeah, you act dramas, as they call. Some things even to laugh and stuff, they're done in there as well because it's a big building. So always think that church is in your heart. You should not think that you should take your money, I don't know, to where. And you're being fooled for years and years and years. Anyway, as I say, I always say who sings the song. It's a very, very beautiful song. You can go listen to this song. It's actually a new song. It's, I think, 2 weeks old. It's a song by Esiwa Willie. Ruti Maidori. This is not the time of crying, as she calls the song. And I say here, as I always say here, we don't judge. In this channel, we scrutinize and analyze all songs that are in public domain. That's what we do here. So all the songs it doesn't matter who have sung it, what he or she has done. It doesn't matter who is he or where he lives or whatever. No. Here we scrutinize and analyze all songs without any discrimination. We don't discriminate anyone. And as for me as a Kikuyu, I love our Kikuyu songs. So most of the times I chip in the Kikuyu songs. Yes, because that's what I love most and that's what I often listen to. Yes. So we always analyze all the songs of our blessed, very well talented Kikuyu artist. That's what we deal with here. Yes. As I've always said, I thank you all so much for listening to me. And please, if you haven't touched the subscribe button, please do it. I'll appreciate. And you comment, share, and also like. I will appreciate very much. I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, which is 8 o'clock Kenyan time. Yes. And let's continue with this journey of analyzing and scrutinizing our beautiful Kenyan songs. Thank you and stay blessed. We see us tomorrow. Thank you so much, Ken Masharia. Thank you. Bye-bye.